As the fall leaves surround us, the change becomes something more than just leaves. They give us a sense of warmth, change, and beauty that is all around. The trees are affected by a variety of factors that give way to all of these changes of color and the rate of leaves that drop. Some include the date, length of day, and weather conditions. Five different species of trees: crabapple, Salcova serrata, Norway maple, northern red oak, and honey locust. These are the trees that will be studied and recorded for 8 weeks for color change, percent of dropped leaves, length of day, and weather conditions. Hypothesis: the trees will change in this order: Norway maple, northern red oak, Salcova serrata, crabapple, honey locust. The leaves will drop in the following order: northern red oak, honey locust, crabapple, Salcova serrata, Norway maple. Materials and methods. The subjects were located in Corning, New York. The Norway maple, crabapple, Salcova serrata, and the northern red oak were all behind the Corning Community College Library. The honey locust was located behind the Commons building. Types of data collected: percent of color, leaf drop, weather, length of day, pictures, and leaf samples. Results: color change. Weeks 1 through 4, Maple Norway had begun change within the first 2 weeks. The only other changes that were seen early on was the crabapple, and the honey locust did not show any changes until the 4th week. The 4th week of the maple increased by over half its change from week 3. Weeks 5 through 8, the Salcova serrata, crabapple, and the northern red oak all showed at least a bit of change by week 5, with northern red oak being at 5%. The 3 had also changed by at least 40% at week 7. Salcova serrata was finished off at the slowest with 75% change, and the northern red oak as the fastest out of the 3 with a 98%. The honey locust had increased exponentially from week 6 to week 7, ending off week 8 with a 100% change. Results: leaf drop. Weeks 1 through 4, the Norway maple again follows the trend of starting off before any of the other species, this time with leaf drop. In week 4, there is a close drop percent between the Norway maple and the crabapple at 17% and the maple at 15%. The Salcova serrata, northern red oak, and the locust don't change as fast as the 2, but the honey locust does show a significant increase in week 7. The weeks 5 through 7 for the honey locust and the Salcova serrata was steady as for the drop, while the northern red oak increased greatly in week 7. Until week 8, all of the trees had a big spike on numbers. The final week that was recorded ended with the Norway maple at 99%, the Salcova serrata at 20%, the crabapple at 60%, the northern red oak at 30%, and the honey locust at 96%. Leaf sample pictures. The leaf sample pictures gives a more in-depth look at the leaves that have changed over the 8 weeks. The Norway had mainly kept the red color and turned a darker brown towards the end. The Salcova serrata and the crabapple have similarities of going through a phase of yellow, but the crabapple in one leaf has an orange tinge, while the Salcova serrata goes brown after yellow. The honey locust is mostly the yellow change in the beginning of the cycle, and then it turns to brown. The leaves also fall rather quickly as soon as it turns because they are very light in weight and are double compound leaves, and they also come apart from a thinner stem in the picture shown. The northern red oak turns yellow, then light brown, and stays the same hue throughout. Weather. The weather was mainly between the 60s and 70s, and the lowest being at 64.2 degrees Fahrenheit and the highest at 77.5 for the first 4 weeks. The later weeks, the highest was at 68 degrees and the lowest at 53.6. Length of day. The length of day within the first 4 weeks was either 13 hours. The least amount of sunlight during this period was no less than 12.5 hours, leading to the conclusion that the leaves' color change and drop rates were able to maintain a steady change because the amount of sunlight was not fluctuating. The later weeks, going from week 5 to week 6, the time of sunlight decreased by 1 hour and 15 minutes. Week 7 and 8 went down to the low of around 10 hours and 45 minutes of sunlight. This fall season has truly been spectacular. With the slow gradient changes which started in the late summer while the weather was still warm, and then the transition into the brighter reds, the deep purples, and the auburn orange, putting all the data gave a deeper meaning into this fall season. The Norway maple was one of my favorites with the bright colors it produced, but once the cold wind and rain hit it, the leaves came down just like rain. The Zelkova serrata definitely surprised me because it was one of the only trees that seemed to hold out throughout the rainstorm with little to no effect of the color change and the leaf drop. I would not have paid attention to the little details if not for taking data of the tree species over the 8 weeks, and I feel as if I can truly appreciate fall in a different way that I did not before. Overall, the analysis of the color change and the leaf drop has brought to my attention how each tree has its own unique features. The fall time brings many things into play, and when it comes around, the trees and their changes bring together the meaning of the season. The hypothesis was not supported. The tree color change went from Norway maple, honey locust, crabapple, and Zelkova serrata, with Norway maple being the tree with the fastest color change. The tree leaf drop rate went from Norway maple, honey locust, crabapple, northern red oak, and Zelkova serrata, with Norway maple being the fastest to lose its leaves.